I'm going to show you several strategies for answering the Part 1 and Part 3 of the IELTS speaking test. In this video, I'll introduce 5 useful strategies that I usually use in the exam to get a band 8 for Part 1. Let's take this question for an example. What kind of food do you like? I'm going to show you how I use each strategy to give me ideas on how to answer this question. The first strategy is multiple reasons, which involves dividing your answer into 2 or 3 parts. Firstly, you answer with an opening, then introduce reason 1, then reason 2. Well, I'm a food enthusiast, so there are many cuisines that I'm really into. However, the one I like best is my home country food, because that's what I've grown up with. I also occasionally enjoy Italian food since I have a passion for pizza. General to specific. This strategy involves giving a general statement for your answer and then explaining it more specifically and even giving an example at the end. Well, I'd have to say that I'm a big fan of seafood. In particular, I really like to enjoy Japanese seafood because it's always so fresh. For instance, I don't think I can ever say no to a salmon sashimi. Next, we have the depends strategy, where you give different situations for your answer. I think it depends, really. If I'm at work, I would prefer something quick like McDonald's because I only have a short break. But if I'm out with friends, I would rather have something more exotic such as Thai or Chinese food. Concession. This strategy involves making a main point and then giving a counter argument to it. Honestly, I always have a soft spot for pizza with a lot of cheese on top. However, I think that it may not be all that healthy to eat so much cheese. As I've heard, it can lead to high levels of bad cholesterol, which increase the risk of heart disease. And lastly, we have avoidance. Here, you start by not answering the question directly and then answering it. To be honest, I'm a picky eater, so I don't really have a favorite food. But I guess that if I had to choose one, then I'd go for something like pizza, I just love all that cheese and tomato sauce. So basically, that's how the 5 strategies work. They give you different ways to think about ideas for your answer. Now, you can also use these strategies to answer the questions in part 3 of the speaking test. I'm going to show you how in a minute, but let me give you some advice first. First of all, focus on language and not the ideas. In this section, it's very important that you don't waste time trying to think of your real opinion. That doesn't matter. What's important is that you give an opinion and then support it. For any question, you must have heard several opinions from many other people. Use them. Any opinion will do as long as you support it with arguments. At the end of the day, it's a language test, so it's more important that you use higher level language than have clever ideas. Secondly, speak at length. Part 3 is designed for you to give responses that are twice as long as Part 1. Also, the examiner is required to complete Part 3 in 4 to 5 minutes, and the questions are designed to increase in difficulty. So if you give longer answers, you're going to get fewer questions, and then there is less chance of you getting more difficult questions. Of course, longer answers here doesn't mean answers that are extremely long. Ideally, you want an answer that is about 4 to 6 sentences. Now, there are 6 common types of questions in Part 3. For each type of question, you can give extended answers by following the 5 strategies that I introduced earlier. So I'm going to guide you on how to answer each type of question using the 5 strategies above to answer each one of them. The first type of question is different kinds of. It's very common in Part 3. Let's take this question for example and use the 5 strategies to give 5 different answers. What are the popular kinds of shops in your country? Well, there are a wide range of places to go shopping. One of the most popular types is department stores. I think this is because they often stock high-quality products and offer a clear 30-day refund policy if consumers are not happy with their purchase. Another trendy place that people in my country enjoy shopping at is local markets. I guess people are motivated by the fact that these places sell stuff at a cheaper price compared to that of big supermarkets, though the quality is not always guaranteed. On a general level, small local shops and traditional markets are common across the country as they provide unique products and experiences for shoppers. More specifically, these places are not just places to buy goods, but they are social hubs where people connect with each other. For example, at traditional markets in Vietnam, you can find everything from fresh produce and seafood to textiles and souvenirs. It's a lively environment where haggling is part of the experience, and these markets play an essential role in Vietnamese culture and daily life. The popularity of different types of shops in Vietnam varies based on the region. In big cities like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, large shopping malls and modern retail stores are becoming increasingly popular, especially among younger generations who are looking for branded goods, fashion items, and entertainment options. On the other hand, in smaller towns and rural areas, traditional markets and small family owned shops are still the go to places for most people. These markets offer fresh, locally sourced products, and there's a personal touch to the shopping experience, where relationships between sellers and buyers are often built over time. Supermarkets and chain stores have grown rapidly in Vietnam, especially in urban areas, because they offer a wide range of products in one place, making them very convenient for people with busy schedules. However, despite this growth, many local residents still prefer shopping at traditional markets. These markets are valued for offering fresher produce, often at lower prices, and the experience feels more personal. Plus, the markets are a part of local culture and history. While supermarkets are convenient, they can sometimes feel impersonal and more expensive compared to these traditional settings. It's hard to pinpoint just one type of shop that's popular in my country because people's preferences can vary greatly. Some might argue that modern shopping centers are the most popular because they offer a one-stop solution for everything from groceries to electronics. But in my opinion, traditional street vendors and convenience stores are still more popular overall, especially in urban areas. The reason is that these options are affordable, easily accessible, and cater to the daily needs of the majority. You can grab a quick snack, buy some vegetables, or even pick up household supplies without having to travel far. The next type of question is comparing, where it asks you to compare two different things. Usually, you have to compare different time periods, things, or people. Do men and women like to talk about the same topics? I think men and women often talk about different topics based on their interests. On one hand, men might focus more on things like sports or technology because these are areas they're passionate about or heavily involved in. On the other hand, women tend to lean towards topics like relationships or personal experiences, which they find meaningful and engaging. Of course, these are just general trends and everyone's different. In general, men and women do talk about some of the same things, especially when it comes to shared experiences like family, work, or social events. But when you dig a little deeper, the differences become clearer. Guys might get really into discussing the details of a recent game or new tech gadgets, while women often focus more on personal stories, relationships, or social topics. For example, at a casual gathering, you might notice the guys clustered around the TV talking about the latest match, while the women are more likely to be exchanging updates on their lives or discussing the latest trends. So while there's definitely overlap, each group tends to have its own go-to topics. I think it really depends on who's talking and the situation. In mixed groups, people usually stick to more neutral topics like movies, travel, or general news that everyone can join in on. But when it's all men or all women, the conversations often shift towards their specific interests. Guys might focus on sports, hobbies, or tech, while women lean more towards relationships, social matters, or lifestyle topics. So the dynamic really changes depending on the group makeup and the context, but overall, it's about what's relevant and interesting to the people involved. Clearly, I think men and women often have different preferences when it comes to topics. In general, men are more likely to discuss sports or current global events, while women often enjoy conversations about shopping or the latest fashion trends. However, when it comes to personal interests, those preferences can overlap regardless of gender. For instance, some women are really into talking about football, and plenty of men are just as interested in discussing fashion. Well, I'd say people naturally talk about what's relevant to them, so there's definitely some common ground between men and women when it comes to conversation topics. But if I'm being more direct, I'd say there are some clear differences. Guys are often more into things like sports, tech, or hobbies, while women tend to prefer discussing relationships, lifestyle trends, or social issues. Of course, these aren't strict rules and everyone's different, but in general, you can see how those patterns play out depending on the setting and the people involved. Next up, we have predicting. This type of question often occurs after a question that asks you to compare the past to the present. Essentially, you are now being asked to compare the current situation to a future one. Is it good or bad for people to have free education in the future? Having free education in the future could be highly advantageous for a society. Initially, it would ensure that everyone has equal access to educational opportunities, regardless of their economic status. This could lead to a more educated and skilled workforce, benefiting the economy as a whole. Moreover, free education could significantly reduce student debt, allowing graduates to start their careers without financial burdens. Both of these factors could contribute to a more equitable and prosperous society. I believe that, in general, free education could be a positive development for a society. It would ensure that everyone has the chance to learn and grow without the financial burden for citizens. More specifically, this could lead to a more educated workforce and potentially lower unemployment rates. For instance, if everyone could afford to go to college or vocational training, it might boost economic growth and innovation. However, it's important to consider how to manage the costs and resources to make it effective. I think whether the possible consequence of free education is good or bad really depends on the implementation. In countries with strong financial systems and resources, free education could be a fantastic way to promote equality and economic development. But in countries where resources are limited, it could be challenging to maintain quality and access. For example, while free education might work well in a country with a robust economy that can support the costs, it could strain the system in a developing nation if not carefully planned. Offering free education in the future could be advantageous because it would make learning accessible to everyone and help reduce inequality. However, there are concerns that it could lead to higher taxes or government spending, which might be challenging to manage. So, while the idea of free education is appealing and could bring many benefits, it's crucial to balance it with considerations about funding and quality. The topic of free education often sparks a lot of debate. Some might argue that it could bring a lot of advantages since it would open doors for many people who otherwise couldn't afford it. But on the other hand, there are concerns about how to fund it and ensure that educational standards are maintained. Personally, I think the idea has a lot of potential benefits, but would need careful planning to address the financial and logistical challenges involved. Next, advantages and disadvantages. What are the advantages of distance learning? Distance learning has some clear advantages. For starters, it offers incredible flexibility, allowing students to learn at their own pace and fit their studies around their busy lives, which is a real game changer. Additionally, it makes education more accessible to those in remote or underserved areas who might otherwise be left out in the cold. This means more people can have the opportunity to advance their skills, regardless of their geographical constraints. All in all, it can be a win-win situation for expanding educational access. Overall, distance learning can be a fantastic option for many. It provides the freedom to study when and where it suits you, which is a big plus for anyone with a tight schedule. More specifically, this flexibility allows someone working full-time to hit the virtual books in the evenings or on weekends. For example, if you're balancing a job and family, online courses can be a real lifesaver, fitting seamlessly into your life. This adaptability can make continuing education much more manageable and less stressful. The benefits of distance learning really depend on individual needs. For someone with a hectic schedule or who lives far from educational institutions, it's a lifesaver, offering the chance to study without needing to commute. However, if you thrive on in-person interactions and a structured classroom environment, distance learning might not be as effective. So it's a mixed bag and depends on what works best for you. Ultimately, finding the right fit for your learning style can make all the difference. Distance learning has several advantages, such as flexibility and accessibility, which make it a great option for many. It allows students to study from anywhere and manage their own schedules, which is a huge plus. However, some people might feel they're missing out on the personal touch and immediate feedback that come with traditional classroom settings. So, while distance learning is beneficial, it's not without its challenges. Balancing these pros and cons can help you decide if it's the right choice for you. When it comes to learning methods, there is no right or wrong option because each has its own pros and cons. Distance learning is often praised for its flexibility and the ability to study from anywhere, which can be a real feather in its cap. While it's not perfect and may have some downsides like a lack of face-to-face interaction, the flexibility it offers is a significant advantage that makes it a strong choice for many people. If managed well, it can provide a balanced approach to education that suits diverse needs and situations. Now we have problem or solution questions. How can we encourage people to do more exercise? Encouraging people to exercise more can be approached in a couple of ways. For starters, making exercise fun and social can be a real motivator, like organizing group activities or fitness challenges, which makes working out feel less like a chore. Additionally, providing incentives or rewards for reaching fitness goals can give people that extra push they need. By combining enjoyment with tangible rewards, people might be more inclined to get off the couch and get moving. To encourage more exercise, we can start by promoting the benefits of staying active in groups. This way, members can follow one another to achieve a better well-being. More specifically, setting up community fitness programs or local sports leagues can make getting active more accessible and appealing. For instance, having a weekend soccer league or free yoga classes in the park can help people incorporate exercise into their routines more easily and regularly. This not only enhances their health, but also broadens people's social circles. Encouraging exercise often depends on the individual and their circumstances. For socially engaged individuals, joining a gym or fitness class might be a great way to stay motivated, especially if they thrive on structure and social interaction. But for those with a sedentary lifestyle, finding ways to exercise at home, like following online workout videos or using fitness apps, might be more effective if they prefer privacy. So it's important to tailor the approach based on what fits best with each person's lifestyle and preferences. Promoting more exercise can be achieved through engaging methods like fun group workouts or community sports events. These can be effective in getting people active. However, some individuals might still struggle with finding the time or motivation to exercise regularly. So while these strategies can help, addressing personal barriers and providing support is also crucial. It's important to tackle the issue from multiple angles to make exercise a regular part of life. There are numerous strategies to encourage more exercise, each with its own benefits. For instance, making fitness activities more enjoyable and social can be a great motivator, or offering incentives for achieving fitness goals might also help. However, if I had to single out one approach, it's probably about making exercise an integral part of daily life, whether through community programs or personalized plans. The idea is to integrate exercise so seamlessly that it becomes second nature. The last type of question is those that ask for your opinion on a topic. Why do so many people move from the countryside to cities? There are a couple of key reasons why people often move from the countryside to cities. For one, cities offer more educational options and job opportunities, which can be a major draw for people to pursue their academic or professional endeavors. Additionally, urban areas tend to have better access to amenities and services such as healthcare and entertainment, which can make city living more appealing. Both of these factors can make the city a more attractive option for those seeking a change. Generally, people move from the countryside to cities for better job prospects and more vibrant lifestyles. On a more specific level, cities offer a wide range of employment opportunities that might not be available in rural areas. For example, someone might relocate to a city to pursue a career in tech or finance, fields that are more concentrated in urban environments. This shift often brings greater convenience and access to services as well. The reasons for moving from the countryside to cities can vary depending on individual needs and goals. For some, the move is driven by the chance for professional growth, as urban areas often provide more job opportunities. For others, it might be about accessing better healthcare, education, or social activities. So, whether it's about climbing the career ladder or enjoying urban amenities, it really depends on what people are looking to achieve with their move. Many people move from the countryside to cities for better job prospects and access to amenities. Cities generally provide more career opportunities and a wider range of services, which can be very appealing. However, it's worth noting that city life can also come with its own set of challenges, such as higher living costs and increased stress. So, while the move can offer significant benefits, it's important to weigh these against the potential downsides. When considering why people might move from the countryside to cities, there are several factors at play. It's often said that cities provide more opportunities and conveniences, which can be a big draw. However, if I had to point out one key reason, it's probably the promise of better career prospects and access to various services. Making a move to the city can be a way to open new doors and enhance one's lifestyle. So this is how these strategies help me think of ideas to talk about in part 1 and part 3 of the speaking test. For each question, you can apply one of these strategies to come up with an ideal answer and ultimately achieve a desired score for your IELTS test. This is the end of the video. Hope you find it useful. If you like it, subscribe and turn on notification for upcoming content. See you in the next video and good luck with your study.